I'm Sarah, otherwise known as Yarnmugs on Instagram and Ravelry. Welcome to my podcast where I chat about knitting, crochet, sewing and the books I've been reading. Oh, my voice is a bit croaky and I'm now feeling very hot. You might be able to hear it's pouring with rain, but it's still really close. And I have shut the door because it's just a bit too noisy. Anyway, how are you? Hope you're all okay. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in again. And if you're new, I hope you enjoy what I chat about. Thank you also to all your lovely comments from any previous videos, but especially like the last one, and for all your generous Ko-fi donations. That's really kind of you. So, what have I been working on? The first thing I'm going to show you is some socks. In fact, I've been on a bit of a sock. I've been enjoying making socks. This is one of my favourite sock bags, and this is by Annie. I think it's Annie OB. But it's so beautiful with this kind of applique and embroidery. It's lovely. And it came with a really sweet little lavender bag, which still smells lovely. So I've been having a bit of a sort out with a lot of my stash. So I've got obviously lots of lovely hand-dyed yarn, and I've also got some acrylic yarn and some commercial kind of sock yarn that I've been working my way through. And even though I don't really need many socks for me anymore, my dad really loved the last pair of socks I made him. So I thought I'd use my last lot of commercial yarn. It's Drops Fabel Print in the colour 677. Now these are, I'm sure they are 50 gram balls. So I split the ball in half. Who would think you can get a sock out of that tiny little ball of yarn? So 25 gram ball of yarn, but I've also got some of this contrast yarn. And I think this is, and I'm going to say it wrong, sheepies. And I've got this in lots of different colours, thinking I would do lots of contrast heels and toes. So this is my finished sock. I should have a sock blocker really, shouldn't I? Should I put it on there, or can you see it well enough? I'm going to use my hand, I think. So I've done a toe-up sock, which I really enjoy, especially when you want to use all your yarn up. And then once I'd got to the desired number of stitches here, I started a pattern of knit 6, purl 2, just to give me that bit of, stretch and a bit of rib, and plain on the back. I then did a fish lips kiss heel, which I quite like, nice and easy with the contrast, and then carried on up the leg and then did the knit 6, purl 2 all the way round, then with a contrast cuff. I'm really pleased with it. My dad has got the same size shoe as my husband, but he's got very slender, like narrow feet, so I'm hoping this will fit him lovely. But I'm really pleased with that. This is the joy of commercial yarn, when you have all these lovely different patterns. And often when I do these socks, they don't often match, but it really doesn't matter. His birthday is in September, so I'm gonna cast on the next one. But yeah, really pleased with that. So that's the first sock. And then once I got that sock knitting mojo back, I knew that I had another sock I'd started last year, and I'd called them my autumn socks, and they're in my autumn bag, which is really cute, by Antler and Acorn. I've had this a long time. It's lovely. So sweet, isn't it? And in this sock or project bag, I've got another sock. So last year, I'm sure I started this in October, I cast on again a toe up, and I'd got to the point of putting the heel in and then stopped. But after I finished that one, I just thought, oh, come on, get this heel done. So this is exactly the same, knit 6, purl 2. I'll pop it on for you. Now this is for my size foot, or it could be a gift for friends at a similar size feet. And it's really nice that purl stitch just gives you, it's like a bit of a rib, bit of a stretch. So again, plain knitting on the foot, but the pattern on the front, another fish lips kiss heel, and then the pattern front and back up the leg. Now this yarn is, there's still a huge ball left. It's from Mothy and the Squid. Let me just go like that. In the Tortoiseshell colourway. She did a range of cat colours. This is really old, like several years old. I bought this, I think, at my first ever Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I can't even remember when that was now. It might be over 5 years, I can't remember. But yeah, so it's 75/25 superwash. And yeah, it's lovely. So yeah, autumn socks, which will be ready for autumn, and they'll either be for me or I'll gift them. And a 2x2 rib, nice and stretchy bind off. So yeah, I'm really pleased. But this must have been about over 110 grams, so I've still got, I'm sure this weighs about 30 grams, so I've still got about 80 grams left. My idea originally was, oh yeah, I'll make a whole ball, but honestly, they would end up past, up my thigh, I think, to use half a ball of wool. So it's amazing, isn't it, how far little goes. I've just looked at this actually, only just seen it in the bag. I still keep my needles in their bag so I can always remember what size they are. But on these higher shops, there's a little pattern. I'm going to try and show you. Look at them pretty, like lacy socks. I might try and find that. I think, I wonder if it's like a free pattern. I have to go and have a look, but what a pretty sock. Yeah, so I'm really pleased. I've got 2 socks finished, and that always makes me feel, I don't really have second sock syndrome, but knowing that the next time I make a sock, the pair will be complete is quite a nice feeling. So yeah, I'll definitely get my dad's done in time for his birthday. I've just got my cup of tea here, and there's all wool in it from just me stretching the socks out. Oh dear, there's lots of thread. Never mind. So yeah, 2 socks, but 1 pair. Not pair, you know what I mean. I then found out that a friend of mine, her daughter had a baby, so she was going to be a grandparent for the second time, and I made her first grandchild a baby blanket. Now she didn't ask me to make a blanket, but I just thought, oh, I'm gonna, again, while I was going through all of my stash, I had some colours. So I'll show you what I've got. Now this is my preferred baby blanket pattern, and it's the Dainty Diamond pattern by Ivy and Mabel. It's such a lovely, you probably can't see it there, but you can sort of see the kind of filet crochet where you have the holes, but they make diamonds. So this is using Stylecraft Special DK. It's parchment, and then I've got 3 different blues, but I don't think they're all Stylecraft. I think that's denim, and I think that one might be, but this one isn't, and I don't know what it is. I thought it was from Hobbycraft, and I went in to get some more, and they didn't have anything that matched it. So I'm at the point where that's all I've got left. So I've had to order some more from Wool Warehouse, and what I've got to, I think I'm on row 30 and I think I like to get to about 42 rows. So I've got one ball of parchment on order and one ball of denim, and then I'm just going to do that kind of last 10 a little bit different, maybe bigger gaps, or and a bit of an edge. I was looking at an old video of mine actually, probably when I made the first grandchild's blanket, and I edged it with crab stitch. I completely forgot that I've ever done that, and it was the first time I'd ever done it. So that's a nice thought of outlining it, yeah, in crab stitch. We'll see. But no, really lovely. If anyone's never tried this pattern, I'd highly recommend it. It's such a nice texture, and with the holes in as well, which is perfect for babies, so they don't get too hot. So yeah, that feels nice, having a little blanket project on the go, and that always feels a bit like a quick win, because I love making blankets, but like you say, when you make big ones, they just take for ages. But this one will be done in no time. It's lovely, isn't it? The different, I love parchment and the different blues. Okay, so just waiting on that order to come, and then I can get that finished. And then let's have a bit more tea. And then while I was going through my stash, I found, and I think I might have shown these ages and ages ago, with that Dainty Diamond pattern. I remember going through a phase of using all my scrap yarns and trying to make just smaller Dainty Diamond squares, thinking that I would almost patchwork them together. And so in my stash box, I had 3 squares, all different sizes, and looking not very pretty, because I think I was just trying to use up the yarn. And I just thought, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered to make loads more squares. So what I decided to do was to make the 3 squares I had exactly the same size, and that meant making them 17 rounds wide or big. And then I thought I'll join them together, as join as you go, with another colour, and join them sideways rather than, yeah, to join them in a line, which made quite an oblong shape. And then granny trebles all around the edge to make the blanket bigger. So that's what I've done, and it's really been enjoyable, and it's really reminded me of my the beginning of my crochet journey, when I first started crocheting. That's what it was all about. It was just about doing granny treble, you know, granny square, not a granny square as in small squares, but just going round and round and round, making a really big square with all your kind of scrappy yarn. And it's been so enjoyable. And also I've been trying to be a bit more thoughtful with the colours this time, rather than just making it really, yeah, odd. So this is the blanket so far. So you can see that was one square. So you can see the kind of the 3 squares, and then you can now see where I'm going around. I'll go back a little bit further, see if I can make it, because it's quite wide. This is the issue I've got now. It's long, but it's not deep. So it's going to take quite a while, I think, to get it deep enough. But like you say, the inner squares are not particularly pretty. But then you can see I've made sure I've gone around the edge of each square with blue, and then purple was the join as you go, to join them all together. And then from the silver is where I've started to go around the edge. But what do you think? Because there you can see it looks like a traditional, like, kind of square. It's obviously long. I particularly don't like this one with the black colour next to the white. It really stands out. I'm not really happy with that, but like I say, it doesn't really matter. The whole point was about just making a blanket. I can imagine this just being on someone's lap, because it really just sits nicely over it, and the fact it's wide, you know, that's quite nice. So I don't really know who this is for, but it's really enjoyable. And like you say, I'm just trying to be a bit more thoughtful, you know, not making it scrappy, doing complete rounds, 1 round or 2 rounds. And I've got, yeah, just lots of Stylecraft that I'm not really using. I think historically I always had almost like, not every colour, but loads of colours of Stylecraft so that I could just pick and choose and make blankets. But now I'd rather just buy the yarn that I need and make a blanket out of it. I haven't got the space, and I just don't want to have loads of stash. I don't know if you let me move my tea out of the way, because otherwise I'll get more fluff in there. I'm making this with a 4.5mm hook. Yeah, this outer one was what was that yarn? I don't even know if I've still got the... Oh yeah, it was this. I made a couple of hats out of this. What was it? Oh, where's the thing gone? Oh, it was Serdar in the shade Nordic Noir, and they did a few different, like these mixtures of colours. So I thought that would be really nice in this blanket, because it's sort of, yeah, got lots of different colours that might go with it. So yeah, it feels really nice to just crochet a lovely simple blanket, but also to use up stash, which is always a nice feeling. So potentially, if this, because I know my mum and dad, they do love blankets, especially in the winter, and last year when, you know, well, people are still worrying about the cost of living, but with the heating, they really love wrapping themselves up in a blanket, and I think this might be nice. So yeah, if they like it, I might give it to them. So that's the nice feeling, is it is long enough, but it's just not very deep. But I'm just going to keep going and use up the yarn that I've got. But yeah, something very pleasing about these bright colours here. So yeah, that's been really enjoyable, and just feels, yeah, traditional, and why I wanted to start crocheting in the first place. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention what I'm wearing. I did talk about this last time, but I wasn't wearing it. This is a dress. I won't talk about it too much either, because I've talked about it last time. And also, for anyone that's new, I have done a sew along for this dress. Yeah, so I won't say too much about it, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. Just a bodice, gathered skirt, has got pockets, a nice stretchy cuff, and the back has got that pretty bow, and it's a longer length dress for me, which I'm really enjoying. The other thing I did make, my sister had a special birthday recently, and I decided to make her some Heath hand mitts, which I've made loads. I'm just going to go to my Instagram page, because I've given them to her now. But I made it out of this beautiful Beehive yarn. It was her Enchanted yarn club, where I got a skein of yarn every month last year. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's DK weight, her dolly base, and these were the mitts. Oh, they were just so pretty. Yeah, she really liked them. So it was really nice to use some really sort of special yarn with for my sister's birthday, with all different colours, really pretty. And I've got enough to make another pair. So this is the thing, isn't it? Once you've started a skein, then you've got a big chunk left, which is probably just a bit less than half the skein. Yeah, and what do you make out of that? And my temptation is to make another pair of Heath hand mitts, because you know that there'll be enough yarn for that, but we'll see. So I'll keep that until I find the right project for it. Recently I heard the sad news that Travel Knitter, the lovely Larissa, is stopping dyeing yarn, and I've always loved Larissa's yarn. I've bought lots of her yarn and seen her at festivals over the years, and so she was, you know, selling her yarn, and she had some surprise packages, and so I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to just support her with another last purchase and get a surprise colourway. And so it arrived. I decided to go with a DK weight because I'm really enjoying DK at the moment, and this was the colour I got. And how perfect is that for autumn round the corner? She's calling this Adventure, and it's really lovely. It's really tonal. Larissa is really famous for her really saturated colours, but it's not a flat colour. It is, you know, different shades. No speckles, it's just, yeah, the tones, which is really lovely. Oh, so, yeah, lovely Larissa. Those of you that go to UK shows will know her well. But yeah, it's beautiful. I don't even know, it's showing how it's really bright, like a fire. It's really lovely, orangey. And this is extra fine merino, superwash, but it's DK weight. So yeah, I wonder what that will become. Not sure. It's lovely, and I'm really pleased to have. It'll always be hard, won't it? You know, when people stop dyeing and you're using their yarn and knowing that you can't ever get any more of it. But there's obviously lots of other lovely yarn dyes out there as well. But you know, I really wanted to support Larissa with that. Recently as well, within my team, we've had a bit of a reshuffle, and to kind of support staff and sort of do a bit of team building, we're going to have an away day, which will be a really nice, you know, away day from work, and will include food, and everyone's going to bring cakes, but also we're going to have some kind of speakers. We're going to do a bit of yoga and go for a walk, and, you know, do all really nice things. And I decided, I thought I might do some crochet, not on the day, but between me and the manager, we sort of said, should I make something for everybody? I didn't want it to be too big, you know, because I don't always have lots of time. But what I thought I could do is make everyone like a brooch. And so I've made brooches before, like flower type brooches. So because I've got all of this stash yarn as well, I just thought, what a great way of, yeah, making lots of flowers. And so I went on to YouTube and Attic24 as well, who I know has got lots of free patterns, and just tried a few patterns out and just couldn't really get what I wanted. This was the first little one I made, and I just thought it just feels a bit too small. I suppose if it was a little brooch it'd be fine, but yeah, I just thought, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know if that's quite right. I then made another one. I followed a YouTube video and I thought, oh, that was quite nice. I liked it. And I did do an extra round, and that's what sort of curled it in a bit, but that makes it feel like real petals. And again, if it was on a little brooch, that might be quite pretty. The other thing I am planning on doing is putting a little button in the centre and a safety pin on the back. I then made this one, which is meant to look like a rose, but it only becomes a rose once you kind of sew it all into place, and that was just a bit fiddly, and I don't know if I can be bothered to make, you know, nearly 30 of these. But it does look pretty on camera, and like I say, it does look like a rose there, but I might have to give that one a go again. But again, it's quite small, but maybe that's enough, isn't it? Just having it on your dress or on a coat. And then I made this one, but I just felt it was just a bit too loose here. And how would I get my button on? So I wasn't as keen on this one. And then I just thought, oh, I'm sure I can make this up myself. I'm sure I know how to, yeah, have a go myself. And so that's what I did. And then I made this one. And as soon as I made it, I just thought, oh yeah, that's lovely. That does look like a little flower with petals. But again, is it just a bit too small? Because it is about that size, isn't it? So then I did it again, but after the initial round, I did another round just to make it a bit bigger. And I feel like, yeah, that's it. I like it. So yeah, it's got a centre. I can still stick a button or sew a button on there. It's got petals. It's a nice shape and it's a nice size. And I've made a red one. I'm worried a little bit that it looks a bit more like a star than a flower, but I just thought they're really easy. I can easily knock them up and just do them all in different colours. But what I might do is still I might still use all of these, and then I just imagined having like a little basket of assorted, flowers all in the basket, and people could just pick and choose the one they want, and then they can all go away with their own little brooch. I also thought, because I've got lots of lavender and I've got lots of fabric, I think I might make lavender bags as well. And then I just imagined walking into this room of this hall that we've hired and being able to smell the lavender, and then doing yoga, and it just feeling quite a nice relaxed place. So I've never made a lavender bag before. Like I say, I've got loads of fabric, I've got pinking shears. I feel like this is literally lavender. I know some people I've seen before put rice, like lavender and rice in the bag. So I might just do a little bit of research on that, but this simple kind of shape with pretty fabric with your little brooch, I just thought that'd be a really nice little take home. I've had this for years and it still smells so lovely. But how easy is that going to be just to do on the machine, or pinking shears around the edge? Yeah, I just need to work out how I would do it and how you would fill it. Do I need to pour it in, or just the logistics of how to make them? But yeah, what do you think? Do you think that's a nice thing? I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, is it? Not everyone will like a brooch, but I just thought it's more the thought, that we're trying to team build and make people feel part of the team, and having that kind of everyone wearing a brooch and just feeling connected. I'm hoping that will be a nice thing to do. Yeah, so they're all my makes. The 2 socks, the 2 blankets, the Heath hand mitts I made for my sister, and the flowers. So I've had a nice few weeks. Really enjoying those kind of crafts that I've been working on. And everyone says this, don't they, that they want to get through their stash, but it definitely is a nice feeling, and especially when you're putting it to some use or towards something nice. I thought that would be lovely. I need to drink some tea and avoid the threads of wool. And then lastly, just want to talk to you about the books I've been reading. I mentioned this last time, I think, that I'd started this book. It was this one, Rachel's Holiday by Marian Keys. It's a whopper. It's really big. It's over 600 pages, or about 600 pages. I started this when I was on holiday in June and read 100 pages and just thought, I'm bored. I don't really like the characters. Couldn't really connect with anyone. But then I was just determined, and I am a bit like that. I have stopped reading some books, but I really prefer to. I just need to get them read. And in fact, it took nearly 300 pages before I was like, that's a bit more interesting. So this book is about a girl who ends up in rehab for being a drug addict. But a lot of it, like I say, I was just a bit irritated by, or I just couldn't really connect with the character, her character and others. But then later on, when it was sort of talking about her family and talking about the history and the reasons that why she got the way she did, that became a bit more interesting. I definitely wouldn't recommend it, and I wouldn't read any of her others, which is feels a bit harsh to say, but yeah, it wasn't my favourite book. I'm glad my voice today, how strange. Sorry about that. Yeah, it definitely wasn't my favourite. Loads of people love it. I'm on Goodreads and loads of people absolutely love this book and her other books. And then there were just a couple of people on there that didn't enjoy it, and they were the ones. It was almost like, oh, that's exactly how I felt. So it's such a personal thing, isn't it? Reading books, we're not all going to like the same things. But yeah, I think the other thing about this book is that absolutely loads of famous people, including Ian Rankin, and I thought, I wouldn't have thought he would like a book like this. But loads of people have just said how amazing it is, and I just didn't really feel it. The next book I read was one that my daughter got for Christmas. She had come across lots of recommendations for this one, The Inheritance Games. She started to read it and didn't really enjoy it, but I read it and I really enjoyed it. It is a bit of a young adult story. The girl in it is 17, and the premise is she comes into some inheritance from a very, very rich man, and she doesn't know why. She doesn't know him at all. And with the inheritance comes the proviso that she has to live in the family mansion with all of the grandchildren that weren't included in the inheritance. So you can imagine it being a film. It is actually a series. I think there's 2 or 3 other books, but it was really nice. It was an easy read, bit of a romantic, teenagery thing, but yeah, I enjoyed it. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes some books just hook you from the start, and you want to know what's going to happen, and others, it's a bit of a slog. But yeah, that's just an easy read. And then the last book, which I finished this morning, is this, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I had no idea what this book was about, and funnily enough, I watched Becky from Back to Blighty. I watched her podcast yesterday, and she's recently read this too, and she said that she hadn't watched the films, so this was really interesting, reading a book that you really haven't got no idea about, but is sort of a classic. This book was written in 1938, and I loved it. I found the ending a bit confusing. I was a little bit, what does that mean? What's happened there? But in this particular book, there's an afterword. Is that how you say it? Afterword. Don't know if that's how you word it. And it was like reading an essay about someone kind of critiquing the book in a positive way, as in sort of just explaining it. And I found that really useful. And I also agreed with lots of the things she was saying. So I loved it. For anyone who doesn't know what this is about, it's about a young woman who marries a widower. So he's a man who's lost his first wife. He lives in a big house, and when she moves into the house with him, she's sort of surrounded by memories of the first wife. The big house have servants, so it's written in a time where, it was just interesting to read that kind of class, and I really love reading books from sort of different eras to see, what were the norms and how were women treated, or the expectations of women. And so it was really really interesting, really had me gripped. It's quite atmospheric, quite and funnily enough, I was telling this to my daughter, just explaining, because I realised after so far in that the main character, the second wife, you don't know what her name is. Her name is never mentioned, but Rebecca, who's the first wife, her name is just mentioned throughout the book. And when I was explaining it to my daughter, she said that she'd watched the film in an English class a couple of years ago, and I just thought, I'm gonna watch the film. So I think there is an Alfred Hitchcock film which isn't as true to the book as in the ending, so I might just have to have a look and see what films are out there. But it would be really interesting to see how it's portrayed. I don't always when you love books and you don't want it ruined by a film, but I think once I've read the book I'd be interested to see a film of it. So it was really interesting. I really loved it. And this morning once I finished that, I've just started to read or start a new book. And I've said before, I'm in a little book club with work, so I've just started that, and I'll fill you in when I see you next and tell you my thoughts about it. So I think that's probably about it. I've shown you all the bits I've made and the books. So yeah, that's not too long, 36 minutes. So today's my day off. Me and my daughter are going to go to some shops, and then we're going to go to my sister's for some tea and cake. I'm going to take my crochet flowers with me and do a few of them. I'm going to pop into Hobbycraft and get some buttons. I have got a box of buttons, like old buttons, but none of them are suitable. Like, I feel like I want to get a bag of all the same size, all in different pastel colours, a mix and match. So like pale blue, pink, green, and just mix and match them with all the different like that one, for instance, wouldn't need a button. I think that is enough on its own, but these ones I think will look really pretty. So yeah, that's my plan for today. Looking forward to the weekend. We've got the Women's World Cup final on Sunday, which we can't wait. This time last year we were following the Women's Euros, and we were travelling all across the UK to watch the Lionesses. So yeah, we're real kind of football fans, and especially of the women's game too. So yeah, good luck Lionesses for the Sunday. So yeah, I hope you're all okay, and I'll catch up with you in September. See you soon. Bye.